Alrighty, good morning, my little garden. This is my garden space with the two big trellises. This is the larger plot. This one is 30 feet by 20 feet. And I did put a fence around the whole thing. So I've got a 4-foot chicken wire fence. And then I put it on with these posts. Tons and tons of cable ties. This garden has an awful lot of cable ties. And I did bury the fence into the ground. We do have quite the rabbit problem here. So we didn't want the bunnies eating my goods. Alrighty, in this first section, I've got some cabbages here. I actually planted cabbages from seed and I transplanted, I think 13 of them. As you can see, I only have 6 that actually survived, but they look really good. The ones that survived, I'm pretty pleased with. And then also in with the cabbages, I got some thyme, and then I got some rosemary and some dill over there. Now these herbs are actually herbs I just bought. I tried to grow herbs from seed and did not have a lot of success. Also along the border of the whole garden, I've got a ton of flowers. So right here, I've got a lot of marigolds and nasturtiums. They're looking super, super good. And then right here along this border, I finally just weeded this and planted some seeds. So these are gonna be little zinnias here, those tiny little sprouts peeking through. And then right there, I've got some marigolds. And then here, I put in a calendula. I'm so happy to see this bloom. That's so pretty. And then this is actually mint I found while I was weeding, and I weeded it out, and then it was like, oh hey, that smells nice, and then I put it back and it survived. So cool. Another marigold there. Yeah, and there's some more little bitty marigolds peeking through there. All right, and then this section next to the cabbage, I've got some kale. So this one here is red Russian kale. Now this is stuff I planted from seed and transplanted. But it didn't survive in the whole row, so then at the end of that row where there's nothing, I just planted some more seeds. All right, and then this kale here is my Nero di Toscano kale. So it's like the big like dinosaur kale, I think anyway. So pretty in the morning with these dewdrops, it's just stunning. All right, also in this section by the kale and the cabbage, I've got some beans I actually just planted. So I've got 2 rows of purple TP beans and 2 rows of yellow beans. And then this section, these are some carrots I planted. This was the first stuff I planted and it's just kind of a mess. But yeah, my carrots look pretty good. These are getting fairly large. I had to do a mega weeding session last week. Oh, it was insane. So these have really grown a ton since I weeded. And then these were the first radishes I planted, and I really need to harvest all of these because they're getting so big. Let me tell you, if you have no idea what you're doing in a garden, plant some radishes and you will feel like a superhero. These things are so easy to grow. You can eat the greens. Yeah, it's just so rewarding. And then over here, I've got a few more carrots. They're not looking too hot. This side, my carrots kind of suck, but oh well. Continuing over here with the flowers, got some zinnias there, some nasturtiums. Gosh, this is humongous. That looks amazing. Marigolds, zinnias, more of the same all the way down there. All right, in this section over here, I've got a couple watermelons. These are watermelons I transplanted, and then where those posts are, that's actually where I just threw in more seeds because I decided that I, needed more watermelons in this tiny space. And I did see that there is a tiny little watermelon guy sprouting out today, so pretty excited about that. And then over here on this first trellis, this is my zucchini trellis. So I've got 2 types of zucchinis I planted. I've got these yellow ones and gray zucchinis, and they kind of all got mixed up, so each side has a little bit of each. Now the goal is for these to eventually climb up the trellis, not climb through the trellis. Come on, zucchini, what are you doing? You're not listening to me. I'm gonna have to correct that later. Hopefully they'll climb up the trellis and then I'll have nice zucchinis just kind of hanging down in here. And I do want to briefly discuss the trellis. So my dad actually made these for me. We made 3 actual sets. I've got 2 in this garden and 1 in my other garden. So basically what we did is build 6 of these A-frames, 2 per trellis. So on each A-frame, about halfway down the side, we put in these little pegs, and that's what's holding this. And then basically to actually keep these in the ground, we just pounded a bunch of posts in and cable tied that to the A-frame. So the A-frame itself is kind of, in the ground a little bit, but it's mainly the posts that are really stabilizing it. So I've got 1 post per leg, as you'll see. And then yeah, just put on these strips of wood, cable tied them to the actual A-frame, and we were good to go. And then as far as the trellis mesh, I actually got this at Home Depot, and I just secured it to the ground with these big honkin' metal garden staples. All right, so one of the reasons I wanted to actually do this trellis formation with my viney kind of crops is so that I could put stuff underneath it and just conserve some space. So basically underneath here, what do I have? This is, these are radishes, 18-day radishes, and then butter crunch lettuce. There are a couple little guys just peeking through there. Got one row of beets. Those I planted before. I planted a bunch of stuff here before and only the beets survived, so I dug up the rest. And then I've got another row of beets here, and then those are another type of radishes. They're called purple plum. And then down at the end, I've got another row of lettuce there. And they're kind of peeking through. And then I put in a parsley plant. I read that parsley is good to grow with zucchinis, so hopefully. On this side, so the next to my zucchinis, I've got 2 rows of beans. So again, same thing. I think this row is the yellow ones, and then that row, those are the purple ones. Finally, next to the beans, I put in a row of carrots, but I just planted those like 3 days ago, so obviously they have not popped up yet. All right, and then in the middle of my garden, I've got 2 little teepees I built here with my sweet peas. Now, my sweet peas are they're growing a lot. They look super, super good. They finally look really good. Wow, it's amazing what plants will do when you fertilize them and weed them. Yeah, they're not really growing vertically, but that's okay. I'm just gonna kind of see what happens with those. Hopefully they bloom, because sweet peas are just beautiful. Alrighty, and then I have my tomato section over here. So I've got a lot of tomatoes. Everything that's growing here was started from seed. All my tomatoes were started from seed, so I'm so proud of that. My tomatoes were tiny little babies, and now they're gigantic. I've got cages around most of them. I didn't have enough cages for all of them. That little guy is just one I recently transplanted, because whatever was growing there died. And then interspersed with these, I've got some basil, marigolds, that's some thyme. Also, along with the tomatoes, I've got a few pepper plants. They're kind of slow to grow. Maybe they'll produce some peppers. I don't know. They were free seeds, so I thought, okay, what the heck, why not? Also got a parsley plant in here, marigold, more basil, lots of basil. Apparently, tomatoes really like to be grown with basil. I guess it helps keep away a lot of nasty bugs. And then in between this row of tomatoes here, I did put in a row of carrots. Apparently carrots and tomatoes are very happy together. All right, and then also in this section, I believe these are all snapdragons. I don't think they're weeds. I had a massive, massive weeding situation last week. I'll put in some photos. But only in this area did I see this kind of plant. So pretty sure these are all snapdragons. Yeah, actually I know these are all snapdragons. So when this blooms, this is gonna be amazing. So these are beans. Again, 2 rows of beans. These are my first beans I planted. And then in the middle, this is gonna be a row of carrots. And then next to them, I've got a row of radishes growing. I don't even love the taste of radishes, but they're just so easy to grow and I feel so satisfied growing them. So yeah, I'm just kind of stuffing myself with radishes every day at lunch. All right, so this is my cantaloupe section. I've got a few actual plants that I transplanted and they're doing really well. I did plant some seeds here, but I don't see anything peeking through yet. But I got this nice looking plant. He looks super healthy. And then 2 and 3 and 4. Now with both my cantaloupe section and my melon section, my watermelon, I did put down this black kind of mesh. It's not plastic, it's kind of like a fabric, and then put straw over the whole thing. All right, and then also in this section next to the melons, this is another row of radishes. Oh, they look so good. I need to give a ton of radishes away. Can't eat this many radishes. Got so many radishes in this garden and in my other one. This is a row of butter crunch lettuce. That looks fairly good. And then I actually have 3 curly kale plants here. My sweet gardener neighbor just gave me 3 kale plants like a month ago, and now it's massive and looks amazing. And then this is my second trellis. So this is my cucumber trellis. So I believe all of the cucumbers that I had planted from seed inside and transplanted those plants, I believe all those plants actually died. So the cucumbers are definitely a lot smaller than my zucchinis because these were actually all just planted from seed directly put into the ground. So this type of cucumber is called dar. They look really good. I mean, they're doing very well. Again, the idea is for them to grow up and then have beautiful cucumbers hanging down. And then the cucumbers on the other side, these are a Japanese type of cucumber called tokiwa. These look pretty good. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way those look. And then underneath this trellis, way back there, I've got a dill plant. Apparently that's really good to plant with cucumber. And then I've also got some beets planted, 2 rows of beets. They're kind of hit or miss. They didn't really decide to do the whole row. But then I've got some empty spaces here, so I think I'll throw in some radishes and lettuces today. And then back here, all along this side, all of this kind of fluffy stuff, these are all cosmos. My gosh, when this blooms, it is gonna be stunning. I think I've got like a red type of cosmo in there and also some like pretty pink ones. Alrighty, so yeah, that's my garden. Other projects I have planned for this, I need to put something in that brown space there. I might put more cucumbers or zucchinis because they just are so stinking easy to grow, especially the zucchinis. They just pop so fast. But yeah, not sure. So I need to figure out something for there. And then I also think this space next to my beans still has some weeds in it I need to take care of. But maybe even like part of this way, part of this and part of that. I feel like it's too, it's just too big for like a walking space. I feel like I can definitely be more efficient with my space. So I'm gonna figure out something for there. And also in this bucket, I've got a ton of worms and their poop, and this is all going in this garden today. So the worms are getting a new home.